This is the Peterson Events Center in Pittsburgh, where tonight hopes are high for the home team. Tom Pecora brings his Rams of Fordham here from New York City. They will face an improved and deep Pitt squad, coached by Jamie Dixon. The Oakland Zoo is ready to go. It's the first game of the NIT season tip-off coming up. Welcome to ESPN College Basketball, part of the NIT season tip-off regional round. We're at the Peterson Events Center on the campus of the University of Pittsburgh as the Panthers host the Fordham Rams. Let's take a look at the brackets. Michigan taking on IUPUI later tonight. Cleveland State and Bowling Green the other side of that bracket. Pitt and Fordham here, and then later here in Pittsburgh, Lehigh meets Robert Morris. Hi again, everybody. Along with former college coach Mark Adams, I'm Tim Neverett. Important game for Pitt coming off their season-opening win over Mount St. Mary's. They shot a school record 70.8% from the field. They didn't miss very much.
Well, and for the first time, we saw the diversity of this basketball program. Good in the workplace, Tim, and very good on the basketball court. Inside, that dynamic freshman, Steven Adams, can rule defensively. And this is also a Jamie Dixon team that for the first time in several years can really dial up the defensive pressure, get up and down and play 94 feet.
Should be a good matchup in the middle. Let's take a look at tonight's one-on-one.
Tonight, we're going to see first team A10 conference, Chris Gaston. He is a machine in the double-double category. There you see the 53 career double-doubles. He will go for it again tonight, but he's got to take care of the basketball. 7 turnovers in the loss to Texas State. And Steven Adams, he boards it, he scores it, he changes shots, and he assists as well. He's a dynamic young presence for Jamie Dixon and the Pitt Panthers.
The first 5 for each team will look like this tonight. Brandon Frazier, he's a versatile guard. He can play both guard positions, the point and the 2 guard. And for Pittsburgh, the freshman back out there, Steven Adams in the middle, the 7-footer from New Zealand. James Robinson, freshman point guard. And he seems to be a guy who is an engine who can make this Pitt team go. Well, those are your lineups there. Tom Pecora in his 3rd season at Fordham. Former assistant at Hofstra and at UNLV. Tom's been around a little bit and getting an opportunity at Fordham here. Jamie Dixon in his 10th season. He's now 10-0 in season openers after the win Friday night against Mount St. Mary's. 239 and 77. That's not bad.
Not bad at all. One of the best in the country.
John Cahill, Joe Lindsay, Bill McCarthy, very experienced crew here. Cahill and Lindsay both in their 17th year officiating the Division I level. Adams will jump center, and it is won by Chris Gaston, and Fordham controls the opening tip. This is Jermaine Myers, a freshman from Ajax, Ontario, guarded by Trey Woodall.
Pitt opens up in man-to-man, and Tim, one thing we've noticed early about the Pitt Panthers, they love to get out, pressure you, and force turnovers.
Gaston, the man in the middle, had it stripped away. Patterson got a hand in there. Now Robinson, the freshman out of DeMatha High School, gives to Zana, and Zana misses the long jumper. Zana coming off a 20-point game Friday night, a career high for him. Fordham 0-1. They dropped their opener at Texas State. Ball kicked back outside to the guard, Myers. Up top it goes to Frazier. Frazier normally wears number 1. Wearing number 12 tonight. There was a problem with his number 1 uniform, so he's got a substitute uni tonight. Gaston backing in, meets Adams, and the ball turned over. Keys to the game for Pitt.
For Pitt tonight, manufacture easy baskets. They like to get up and down 94 off the turnovers. Be like Pitt on the glass. Dominate the glass as they did against Mount St. Mary's. That's how Jamie Dixon wins basketball games.
Trey Woodall out of Brooklyn, New York. Now Robinson, the winningest player at DeMatha High School. 120 wins in 4 seasons as a high school player.
Fordham settles into their 2-3 zones. That's exactly what they don't want. The reason Fordham is in 2-3 zone, they want to force Pitt to shoot over the top of the defense.
Keys for the Fordham Rams.
Gaston's got to get a double-double and take care of the ball. Fordham must win the battle of the boards to survive here tonight.
Frazier changed hands, went right to left, and Robinson picks up the game's first foul. The freshman out of Mitchellville, Maryland, commits foul number 1, and Frazier will inbound on the far sideline.
You know, Tim, we saw Steven Adams, his stat line in the Mount St. Mary's game: 8 points, 8 rebounds, 4 block shots, 2 steals, couple assists. We saw it early in the game, too. The double team where he forced the turnover, and then the dunk off the catch and finish.
Frazier got around Robinson, launched it, and the rebound Woodall. Woodall running the Panthers down the floor. Open is Robinson. And the freshman will give it up to Woodall. Three-pointer on the way, and good. Trey Woodall knocks it down, and Pitt out to a 5-0 lead.
The minute he went down with an injury last season spelled trouble for Pitt. Trey Woodall now completely healthy.
Brian Smith. Frazier back to Smith. Bounce pass underneath as Travion Leonard.
3 seconds.
And now the ball kicked back to Leonard. Step back jumper no good. The rebound to Patterson. Robinson on the run out. Woodall open from the right side this time. Gaston, the Atlantic 10's leading rebounder a season ago, comes up with the ball for Fordham.
For pound, inch for inch, Chris Gaston, one of the best rebounders in the country.
Talib Zana ripping that one down, and Pitt with another possession. First 3 minutes of the game gone by. Pitt leading 5-0. Lamar Patterson to Trey Woodall. Woodall penetrating left hand. He scores, and it's a 7-0 lead, and Woodall with 5 up Pittsburgh's 7 points. Frazier, the Brooklyn, New York natives. The Fordham Rams have 3 of them. A lot of New York flavor from the team from New York.
Look how the ball doesn't enter the post just because Steven Adams, big number 13, is there.
Shot taken by Smith. 3 balls, good. Brian Smith, who was 3rd in scoring last year for Fordham, but 2nd in 3-pointers made, makes one here and gets the 0 off the board for the Rams.
He was a bright spot at Texas State in the loss. He had 16 points, 5 rebounds in that ball game. Fordham settles back in their zone again. The goal here is to make Pitt shoot contested jump shots.
Zana, the quick jumper, short. Rebounded Jermaine Myers, a freshman guard. Now Frazier with it. He'll rise, and he'll miss the 3. Zana gets a 2nd rebound. Robertson gets the ball down the floor quickly. Woodall picked up by Frazier. Now off the curl, Patterson. He's got a 3. 7-point lead for the Panthers.
Lamar Patterson, 0 points versus Mount St. Mary's. Comes up big early tonight. Good sign for Pitt.
Frazier doubled up top briefly. Gaston, the guy that Pitt knows they need to control. He is the best player for Fordham. Underneath. That's a basket for Travion Leonard, his first. Big freshman out of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Draw and dish. Best way to take the shot blocker off the play. Make him attack the dribbler.
Woodall for 3. He's now 1 for 3. Adams missed on the putback, and he'll go to the line when we come back. 15:02 left of the first half. Adams with the first basket. They're going inside, and Woodall helping. Patterson with the outside shot. 10-5 Pitt. ESPN's coverage of college basketball is presented by Allstate. 10-5, Pittsburgh in front in the early going, 15:02 remaining in the first half. NIT season tip-off, regional round. As the Pitt Panthers had some offensive contribution from Lamar Patterson. He did not score in the game against Mount St. Mary's on Friday night, but his three-pointer here is added to the Pitt total. Stephen Adams from Rotorua, New Zealand, one of 18 children.
You know, what's interesting about Stephen Adams, obviously was surrounded by a lot of siblings, but in the paint, nobody seems to want to throw it in there offensively because he is a human rejecter inside.
Adams' first free throw is good, and the multitude of NBA scouts who are here to watch him happy to see he can hit the free throws. 19 shoes, plays the guitar. 6 brothers have played for the New Zealand national team, and he's got a sister who has a pair of gold medals in the shot put. The gold medalist in the shot put in both Beijing and recently this summer in London.
The males in the Adams family, no relation by the way, average 6 feet 9 inches tall. The females over 6 feet tall. Can you imagine that family reunion?
Yeah, a lot of tall doorways. There's a three-point basket made by Myers. A 4-point lead for Pitt. Ziegler off the bench along with J.J. Moore. Ziegler transferred from Central Michigan. Dante Taylor is also in, playing down low. Ryan Canty guarding him for Fordham. Woodall, the entry pass. And that one is tipped by Canty and out of bounds. So Pitt will maintain control. 17 seconds remains on the shot clock. Tom Pecora, his third year at Fordham.
What a job he did at Hofstra as the head coach there.
Ziegler with the miss and the rebound. Ryan Room, 6'8" freshman from Middletown, New York. There's a three. So now Brian Smith knocks that one down, makes it a 1-point game. Smith with 6.
He scored 60 points in a high school game. This kid, when he gets it going, he can score in bunches. Brian Smith, number 24 in maroon for Fordham. 60. I have 60 my whole career, including grade school.
J.J. Moore straight on 3 attempt. Canty tips it to himself, and Fordham with the basketball. They're on a 6-0 run and make it still a 6-0 run as Smith missed it a long 3. Woodall running. His pass knocked around. He gets it back. Tipped out of bounds by Fordham. A fast break by Fordham getting them that 6-0 run. Starting to move the ball a little better down the floor.
Brian Smith just sprinted this left-hand lane. Look how he gets balanced 2 feet down and just goes right into the jump shot. Perfectly executed in the 94-foot situation.
Ziegler's dad, Ernie, used to be an assistant coach here at Pitt. On the staff with Jamie Dixon when Ben Holland was the head coach here. Moore, right place, right time, and J.J. Moore has got a pair, and it's a 14-11 Pittsburgh lead.
That's where Pitt can just eat you alive on the offensive glass historically, and now again this season after really a subpar last season.
Ryan Smith trying to find his spot on the floor, has to give the ball up to Ryan Rooms. Top, it's Brandon Frazier, guarded by Ziegler. In the corner, Smith dumps it back out to Rooms. Short on the jumper. Canty couldn't collect it. Fresh shot clock. They won't use it. Frazier misses on the long 3. And the rebound to Lamar Patterson.
Very impressed with the patience of Fordham offensively. Really made the defense move from side to side for Pitt.
Ziegler missing on the pull-up pop. Ball loose near midcourt. Backcourt. Fordham touched it first. So that's a turnover for the Rams, their third. Pitt will have possession of the basketball. So heading to the bench, Brian Smith. Mandel Thomas, freshman out of Rochester, New York, comes in to replace him. Pitt has yet to turn the ball over. 12:20 remaining in the first. James Robinson back in for Pittsburgh.
This is where Pitt's different. They take care of the ball like they have in the past. But they also force more turnovers, +8 in turnover margin versus Mount St. Mary's to open the season.
What are your thoughts on Fordham's defensive approach here?
I like the look because you've got to force Pitt to shoot over the defense. If you let them run and gun and have some fun, you're going to get blown out. Just ask Mount St. Mary's.
Shot clock down to 7. Moore charging and scores off the glass. 4 points for J.J. Moore. Robinson guarding Frazier. The entry to Canty. Wide open on the backside was Ryan Rooms.
No backside rotation defensively. The post-to-post double, the offside wing guy has to drop. No backside rotation by Pitt.
Pitt with twice as many points in the paint so far in the game. Cameron Wright has entered the game. And Wright, who played Friday, the day his father passed away. Wright is from Cleveland. His family lives here in Pittsburgh now. And certainly played with a heavy heart on Friday, but contributed with 8 points off the bench.
Pitt settling for jump shots. They're falling into the trap that Fordham has laid with their 2-3 zone. Well executed by Fordham.
Myers looking for a cutter, finds Frazier. Back for Myers. Robinson originally trying to take away one side, then took away the other. That one well off the mark.
That's a bad shot.
Dante Taylor's rebound. Robinson in traffic, dumps it off underneath to Wright. Moore and Wright getting each other's way, and Fordham has the ball. Frazier charging to the hoop. A foul is going to be called on Pitt. 16-13. Pitt in front, 10-16 remaining in the first half at the Peterson Event Center. Well, Fordham's been using the three-point shot. They hit 3 of their first 4, 0 for 3 cents, but it's a 3-point Pitt lead with 10:16 to go in the first. Mark, take us inside the play.
Steven Adams out of the game for Pitt. So what does Fordham do? They punch the ball inside number 42, Ryan Canty. Watch the defenders as it goes low. Ball's passed down the low block. Here comes the double team. Stop. This defender has to rotate low. He's turning, watching the basketball. Ryan Rooms sees it, goes right to the basket for the easy dunk inside. Without Steven Adams and without backside rotation, scoring becomes awfully simple for Fordham inside.
Well, the Rams 0-1 as they enter this one. You know, they only have 3 home non-conference games this season. They have to go on the road quite a bit, and that's going to be character building, to say the least. That was a tough schedule for Tom Pecora's team.
I was surprised to see Syracuse actually play on the road. Went and played at San Diego State yesterday on the aircraft carrier.
Yeah, well, they had to deal with wind. It was very windy on that aircraft carrier. Try shooting a three-pointer in the wind, see where it ends up. But they won. They ended up beating San Diego State. Brandon Frazier down the first one. 4.1 assists a game last year. That was good for 6th in the Atlantic 10. Now it's just a 1-point game about halfway through the first half.
I like Fordham, what they've done with this little soft full court pressure to stop Pitt from running up and down, falling back into their zone defense. Now they come out of the timeout and they settle in their 2-3 zone again. The whole idea, make Pitt shoot over outstretched arms.
J.J. Moore to Robinson inside the arc. That's good for 2. 3-point lead for Pitt. James Robinson, a guy who has been a winner everywhere he's been, including this summer. A gold medalist on the under-18 team, the Team USA, as they competed for a world title in Brazil. And they're right back for Robinson.
Nice job of Fordham getting back defensively.
Here's Ziegler penetrating, kicks it out to right. Adams outreaches everybody. No look pass to right, but it's blocked. Gaston knocked it away.
Great pass by Steven Adams. Great defensive work by Chris Gaston inside.
Well, Gaston, a 6'7" senior out of Newark, New York. And he is a guy who is up there on the school's all-time scoring list and rebounds list as well. Shot clock winding down to 6. Frazier knows he needs to throw it up there. Down to 1. They will not get it off, and a shot clock violation. Pitt comes up with a stop defensively. That's the 4th turnover for Fordham.
Tom Pecor wanted the ball to go low to Chris Gaston on that possession. Gaston didn't recognize the shot clock and passed out. He really should have lowered his shoulder, went right at Adams.
Robinson, a guy, a freshman starting now his 2nd game at the Division I level. And as a coach, do you get concerned about him picking up the speed of this level? It seems like it hasn't phased him.
No question. But, you know, when you talk about a guy like Steven Adams, for example, who's such a good athlete, the speed doesn't bother him nearly as much as it will other guys. You know, it's really interesting to watch it against the zone. They've got to get into more gaps like that off the dribble penetration.
Pitt looking to get a shot off. J.J. Moore hits the 3. 7 points for Moore, and it's a 21-15 lead.
Adjustment versus that zone, dribble in the gaps, and then look for the open man. Move the ball to and fro aggressively.
Ryan Smith had it tipped by Patterson, and the steal for Lamar Patterson. Woodall skip pass to Patterson. He'll drive, trying to find Adams. 1 pass too many for the Panthers. Their first turnover of the game. Missing the shot was Mandel Thomas. And the ball out of bounds to Fordham.
Against the zone, get into gaps. Force 2 defenders to guard you. Then look for the open man, especially on the backside. Bingo for Pitt and J.J. Moore.
Timeout on the floor. Pitt 21, Fordham 50. Welcome back to ESPN's college basketball, part of the NIT season tip-off. Our score, Pittsburgh 21, Fordham 15, 7:23 left in the first. ESPN college basketball is available anytime, anywhere on your computer, tablet, or smartphone at watchespn.com and with the Watch ESPN app.
Is Watch ESPN the greatest thing ever?
I was watching it last night.
I saw you on Friday night, Pitt versus Mount St. Mary's with Darren Horn. Great job, Pards. It was a fun game to watch, and you could see that Pitt has really committed to more of an up-tempo type of game this season.
I was watching the Duquesne-Georgetown game from D.C. last night. That was a good game. It was another Pittsburgh team. Duquesne did very well. They challenged Georgetown. Georgetown wanted the end, but there's all kinds of stuff on that app. It's wonderful to have. Pitt, 14 missed field goals in the opener. They shot a school record 70.8% from the field. They've already missed 13 tonight.
Yeah, Pitt shot 75% in the first half and outscored Mount St. Mary's 58-14 in the paint.
Oh! Woodall fouled as he went after the loose ball. And the foul will be whistled on Mandel Thomas. Rebound's very close at this point, Art.
Big key in this game. Fordham cannot win if they do not win the battle of the boards. It's really that simple.
Pittsburgh working the ball around the perimeter, looking for the entry. Zana with it, finds a man in the corner. And Patterson off the glass, no good. Adams still battling for the rebound. And who will have possession? Looks like it'll go back to Pitt off of Fordham. That ball's up in the air. That 7-footer is always going to be near it.
Yeah, the old adage, you can't teach 7 foot, but when you got a 7-footer with great athleticism as well, it makes him just that much more dynamic as a presence inside.
Well, Adams is just the third 7-footer to play here at Pitt. The last one was Aaron Gray, who played here from 2003 to 2007.
He was pretty good. That was a big, strong, tough dude, Aaron Gray. Look how soft this 2-3 zone is. They're just packing it in and daring Pitt to shoot the contested jump shot.
And another three. 24-15.
I wonder if Ashton Gibbs is watching tonight. How much would he like to see that 2-3 zone out there?
Woodall now with 8 points. And whistle before the shot. Let's take a look at how this long ball was set up.
Pitt being more aggressive, especially with diagonal passes from one side of the court to the other, and Woodall able to knock down the 3 ball. You know, this is the one thing about Steven Adams. He's got to get better. He's got to play with his knees bent defensively. He tends to stand lock-kneed a lot in the low block defensively.
Frazier finding Myers. Now up top it goes to Leonard. Loose ball, and Adams between the legs picks it up. Patterson thought about the shot for a moment. Here's Adams with a finger roll. That's good. Steven Adams having another basket for him. 6 turnovers now for Fordham, and the Panthers with 9 points off those turnovers. See his athletic ability, and he was the preseason freshman of the year selection by the coaches without even seeing him play.
Here's some of the guys I think are really going to change the game in the Big East. Peyton Siva, Gorky Jang. We'll come back to it.
Talib Zana took an extra step. He walked, and the ball will go back to Fordham.
In the Big East, these guys changed the game. There's Steven Adams right there. Sean Kilpatrick at Cincinnati, a very strong wingman. Vincent Council, we hope he's doing well. Had a little bit of a hamstring pull, we understand, in the 1-point loss over New Jersey Institute of Technology, NJIT. Those 5 guys, I think, are the hardest to guard and coach against in the Big East this season.
Lead is 11 for Pittsburgh. Largest lead so far. 5.5 minutes remaining in the first. A steal by Woodall. Ahead to Patterson. Lamar Patterson for 2. There's a 13-point advantage.
That's where Pitt has made, I think, the greatest improvement. Going from defense to offense and converting it.
5 points for Patterson. To Jermaine Myers. Clock worked under 5 minutes.
Pitt really turning up the defensive pressure now.
5 seconds on the timer. Underhand shot just got to the rim. And off the foot of Woodall, and it's picked up by Brian Smith. He'll call a timeout to save possession.
Defensive intensity. Watch the eyes of defender. Trey Woodall just picks the pocket right there. That's preparation as well. There isn't a whole lot of video on anybody right now, but Woodall was waiting for that crossover dribble, just dropped his left hand.
Ziegler coming into the ball game was at Central Michigan. His dad Ernie was the coach there, and when he was not coaching there, he decided to transfer to Pittsburgh.
Well, when he was a kid, there you see him right next to Brandon Knight. His idol when he was a young man, as his father was here coaching with Ben Howland and Jamie Dixon, and Trey Ziegler fell in love with Brandon Knight's game, and now he actually gets to play every day under the tutelage of Brandon Knight. That's a pretty good way for a young guy to see his idol one way and then learn from him the next way.
Brandon Knight, one of 4 Panthers to have his jersey number retired, so nobody will wear number 20 again here. 3-point field goal made out of the left corner by Brian Smith. He's got 9 points, and it's a 10-point lead now for Pitt.
Well, Brian Smith has definitely been a bright spot for Fordham here this season. Went for 16 against Texas State. He's got 9 in the first half tonight against Pitt.
Talib Zana back to Ziegler. Ziegler had a big game Friday against Mount St. Mary's off the bench, scoring 11 points, all of them in the second half. Pitt will maintain possession. Substitution coming for Fordham. Rather for Pitt, it's J.J. Moore, and for Fordham, Ryan Canty coming in. Zana will get a seat.
Jamie Dixon has made an adjustment against this 2-3 zone to attack the elbows by the big guys. A lot of touches in that top elbow area of the paint versus the zone defense of Fordham.
Patterson waits, finds Woodall. Pitt deliberate in their offense, waiting to find the open man. Step back jumper no good. Dante Taylor stripped as he went up.
Yeah, he brought it down.
And Myers stepped up by Woodall. Spinning in the lane. Double dribble and a travel, actually. So turnover number 9 for Fordham gives Pittsburgh the ball when we come back to the Peterson Event Center. 28-18, Pitt leading Fordham. 3:28 left in the first half of play. Trey Woodall had 14.7 assists in the opener on Friday, and Woodall contributing with a free ball early and trying to keep the Pitt Panthers in front.
Out of Patterson, New Jersey, he played at St. Anthony High School for Bob Hurley. What do you learn? To lead and defend. Trey Woodall completely healthy this year, and Jamie Dixon has a leader and a great on-ball defender in Trey Woodall.
Flirting with double digits already. Still time left in the first half at the Peterson Event Center. Along with former Central Connecticut coach Mark Adams, I'm Tim Neverett. And you're watching NIT season tip-off regional round action. Fordham and Pitt tonight. Pitt will have to go the length of the floor here, and a little bit of pressure being applied by Fordham on the inbound.
Tim, I think Tom Pecor's game plan is perfect to beat Pitt. But what we're seeing is that Pitt is diversified offensively. They can knock down jump shots. They can make mid-range jump shots out of their big guys, flashing into that dead zone of the elbow of the paint.
Wide open, Robinson inside the line for a 2. And Robinson with 4 points.
And this is how I would try to guard Pitt. But frankly, this team has more weapons this year, and they're showing it again tonight.
Frazier guarded by Robinson. And Pitt working on that perimeter defense, keeping Fordham outside. Shot clock down to 10 seconds. Smith, the entry. Gaston, he's double. Kicks it outside. And the shot in traffic taken by Myers just as it beats the shot clock.
That was great half-court defense by Pitt.
And Patterson long on the 3. Moore fouled by Canty. Ryan Canty, the 6'9" sophomore from Danvers, Massachusetts, came down hard on J.J. Moore. Let's see what Pitt has been doing against Fordham.
Look at the body position and the rotation. Ball goes inside, there's always help, there's challenge of every shot, there's physical block-offs. This team is playing January man-to-man defense in early November right now. Well done.
Well, when you look at the rotation that Jamie Dixon's been using, it's been deep. It's been about 11 guys. And as a coach, don't you want to whittle down your rotation a little bit as the preseason goes along?
No. I mean, if you've got depth, why not use it? In coaching, Tim, all I ever wanted was an unfair advantage. Sometimes that's depth. If you got guys who can play, then make them play hard, just like hockey teams do, where they go in with lines. Same way with basketball teams. I love deep teams.
J.J. Moore with a 3, now in double figures with 10. And that one in and out of the hand of Chris Gaston. Taylor finds Woodall. Patterson cuts. Drops it off to the baseline. Moore had it go out of bounds. Saw Brian Smith of Fordham tip it, so Pitt will maintain control. 24 seconds to shoot once they put it in play. Adams is going to check back in.
The way Jamie Dixon likes to play is pressure defense. And now you're even extending that defense more. They're pressuring more in their half-court sets. They're running more aggressively offensively when they get a rebound. This is a team that needs depth to be successful.
Some would say this Pitt team's deeper than last year's team. Last year, they suffered some disappointment early on, losing at home to Long Beach. And another flush by Adams.
Ball movement plus angles inside. We're seeing the big guy, Steve Adams, starting to learn his lessons well.
Looks like that's going to be a familiar sight at the Peterson Event Center. Steven Adams putting those two-handed flushes down. Under a minute to go in the first half.
Great defense.
Gaston kicks it out. And Smith misses. Gaston gets the rebound, but a push-off foul. And Pitt will have the basketball. Walking down to the other side.
Ball movement plus post angles. Watch as the ball goes to and fro. Stop right there. Look how Adams just freezes the defender right there and catches, presents, and flushes. ball movement plus angles inside. Steven Adams did it naturally that time.
Coming up at the half, we'll get a preview from Robert Morris, head coach, Andrew Toole, and Lehigh head coach Dr. Brett Reed. Plus, we'll have the halftime stats and highlights. That's all coming up at the half. So game 2 of the NIT season tip-off here in Pittsburgh's bracket as Lehigh and Robert Morris. Pitt will play, or the winner of this game, we should say, Pitt or Fordham will play the winner of Robert Morris and Lehigh tomorrow night.
Andrew Toole, the head basketball coach, 32 years old at Robert Morris. And Brett Reed, who could forget the big victory, a 15 seed over number 2 seed, Lehigh over Duke last season in the NCAA tournament. I think we're going to talk about that a little bit.
Probably so, I would imagine. Dozen points for J.J. Moore. Pitt extends their lead to 37-18, 27 and 9/10 seconds remaining in the first half of play. Largest lead now at 19. Shot clock is dead. Smith guarded by Patterson. Fordham will run the shot clock down a little. Not leave Pitt with a shot. Under 4 seconds. And that does it for the first half of play as Pitt finishes the half on a 21-3 run over the final 9.5 minutes. That's half of the first half of play.
Stingy half-court defense. When you got Steven Adams to anchor inside, pretty tough to score for Fordham.
Pitt out to a big lead here in the first half of play. Fordham hanging with them early. But Pitt using the inside game of Steven Adams, hitting some threes as well. 37-18 after break. The city of Bridges, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. As the Pitt Panthers lead Fordham 37-18 at the half. It's a big sports night here tonight as you've got the doubleheader here at the Peterson Event Center, Pitt and Fordham, and then Lehigh and Robert Morris after this game. And there's a little game over at Heinz Field. It's a Monday Night Football game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs. So the folks always excited when the Steelers are at home, but certainly the Panthers of Pitt getting this early game so many of the fans can come here and maybe pull off a doubleheader on their own.
Well, you know, it's an exciting time in Pittsburgh. It's also an exciting time in college basketball because we can talk about some of the All-Americans all across the country and some of the guys maybe that you haven't heard a lot about throughout this season.
Well, the Atlantic 10 is a very, very competitive conference. They've got some game-changing type players.
They really do. When you look at a guy like Kevin Dillard at Dayton, it's hello and goodbye, Tim. And then Chris Gaston, we've seen him tonight, a double-double machine. Rodney Clark at Butler, one of the best three-point shooters in the country. Tomorrow, I'm excited to see Khalif Wyatt at Temple as they take on Kent. And watch out for St. Joe's. 5 starters return for Phil Martelli. The A-10's got a lot of great players and great teams this season, multi-bids for the A-10.
Well, that's one of the things about the Atlantic 10 is that they have a very competitive conference, very competitive schedules. And you look for good things out of this conference this year. And again, it's all about the bids at the end of the day.
Now, with the addition of VCU coming to the Atlantic 10 and also Butler, you've got to think this may be 3, 4, 5 bid league this season. Very exciting times for the Atlantic 10.
As far as players outside the Atlantic 10, you look at the non-Power 6 conferences. Who are some of the players to watch around the country in college basketball?
Some of the best players in college basketball don't play in the Power 6. Doug McDermott, in my view, the player of the year preseason in college basketball. Yeah, I hear you, Indiana, and Cody Zeller, but I love Doug McDermott. Isaiah Cannon, one of the truly strong guards in the country at Murray State. Remember the long winning streak that team had all last season? C.J. McCollum, Lehigh. He'll be playing in the second game here tonight. Could be playing against Pitt tomorrow night. Mike Moser, a double-double machine at UNLV. I know you've seen him a lot out west. And one of my best and most favorite team players, truly team players in college basketball, Matthew Dellavedova, the Aussie at St. Mary's.
So some great players to watch around the country. And we've got some pretty good players on this court as well. Second half still to come, but we've got more halftime activities coming your way from Pittsburgh as we're at the Peterson Event Center on the campus of Pitt. 37-18, Panthers leading the Rams at the break. (37-18), Pitt leading Fordham at the half. And still to come, Robert Morris will take on Lehigh. And Tony Weiss is with us, the associate head coach at Lehigh. You got Robert Morris a little bit later. What can you tell us about your preparation for the Colonials?
looking forward to the game. It's going to be a tough game for us, and just coming off the game we had last Friday night against Baylor, we're just looking to bounce back and hopefully get a couple of guys healthy and come out and, we know they like to attack the basket. They play hard. They're a veteran team, so we just want to come out and do what we have to do defensively to get a chance to win this game.
Coach, one of the great NCAA memories in NCAA tournament history. Last season, I kind of remember Lehigh knocking off Duke, a number 15 versus a number 2. You pulled off the upset. What did that feel like?
It was a great feeling. We had worked hard a lot during the season. We had great games with Iowa State, Michigan State, and we have been so close. And our guys were mentally up to the challenge and were well prepared for it. And it finally just all came to a head where we were able to execute a great game plan.
Well, part of the reason you execute that game plan was because a guy by the name of C.J. McCollum. What's it like to coach him every day? What does he do well, and where can he still get better?
Well, it's a pleasure to coach a kid like that. He's the hardest working player we have in our program, and he's a leader both by his work ethic and how he inspires our kids to play hard day in, day out. He's a natural talent scoring the ball. He's very unselfish. He's able to distribute and make plays for other players, and he's coming along defensively, and right now he's just anything it takes to get a win. That's what we're working on right now.
In these tournaments, you've got to prepare for a couple of different opponents. It's not like a regular season game where you have to prepare for just one opponent. You got to prepare for Robert Morris, Pitt, or Fordham. Mm-hmm. What have you seen in the first game between Pitt and Fordham here in the first half that has impressed you?
Well, Fordham is very long and athletic. They like to get out and apply some pressure, and Pitt is huge. The big kid Adams makes a lot of difference on the offensive and defensive end. Waddell shooting the ball well right now. J.J. Morris came off the bench and made a nice spark for him. So, both of these teams have size. They have athleticism, and with us being banged up and undermanned right now, even Robert Morris, all of them are going to pose a tough challenge for us.
And Tony, thanks for joining us here at the half.
No problem. Thank you for having us.
And Tony Weiss, Associate Head Coach of Lehigh, joining us. They'll take on Robert Morris after this one. But first, the second half coming up. We've got our first half highlights on the way. Steven Adams and the Pitt Panthers lead Fordham. Welcome back to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Cathedral of Learning here on the Pittsburgh campus. 37-18 Pitt after the first 20 minutes of play. With former Central Connecticut State coach Mark Adams, I'm Tim Neverett. First half, Pitt got things going early, although Fordham hung in there for a little while, but Pitt ended the half on a 21-3 run.
On a three-point barrage. First, Pitt has been very stingy in their half-court defense, Tim. And then secondly, they've moved the ball extremely well against that zone from backside to front side. Made the extra pass. A lot of guys knocking down threes.
Let's take a look at those first half highlights. As, again, the Panthers started finding some range from the outside with Woodall getting it going.
Woodall knocks down the three ball. Here's what's impressive about Pitt. They outscored Mount St. Mary's 58-14 points in the paint on Friday night. Tonight, grading threes, 5 for 11. There's J.J. Moore knocking down a three ball. There's Trey Woodall again knocking down a three ball. James Robinson knocking down a three ball. So this is a team that dominated in the paint on Friday night when you saw them. Now they're dominating on the perimeter.
13 points off turnovers to none for Pitt. 45% from the field. Fordham just 26%. Second half on the way from the Peterson Event Center in the NIT season tip-off. At the outset of our telecast, Mark gave us the one-on-one update, and the Pitt Panthers have done a good job shutting down the Fordham center, Chris Gaston. He's been their best player, top scorer, top rebounder, but no points, only 2 rebounds in the first half.
This is a guy that has had 53 career double-doubles and has 2 rebounds, 0 points in this game. Credit that tough Pitt defense anchored by Steven Adams.
And his 53rd double-double in the opener against Texas State. So the Rams need him to get into this game somehow in the second half. They want to crawl back in it. Robinson lines up a 3. Adams missed the rebound, picked up by Brandon Frazier. Spin move into the lane, and the pump pays off. A friendly rim on the road for Brandon Frazier.
Well, we're already seeing that Fordham wants to be a lot more aggressive in the full court situation. They've got to manufacture some points before that Pitt man-to-man defense gets set.
Patterson tried the entry pass to Adams, but Adams was hung on to. A foul is called on Travion Leonard. It's his 3rd.
I'm impressed by the way that Steven Adams recognizes angles in the paint. That's not something that you just know how to do. That's something you learn along the way.
Foul on the outside, Jermaine Myers, his first personal. A 17-point lead for Pitt. They'll trigger the inbound right in front of their own bench. Lamar Patterson, he was held scoreless in the opener against Mount St. Mary's. A guy you'd figure would be into the scoring offense because Talib Zanna had a career-high 20 against Mount St. Mary's, and he only played 20 minutes out of the 40.
Did he shoot anything but a layup or dunk in that game, too?
He might have had a short jumper, but it wasn't any more than 4 feet.
That's what you want. Great shot selection by Zanna.
How does Fordham get back in this game?
Well, that's one way. Chris Gaston putting a double-double in the second half, and he's capable of that. I mean, he is the leader. He's the go-to guy. He's got to play like a Big East player. He's first team All-A-10 preseason.
Woodall left open for 3. Came up short, and Gaston's got the rebound. So in the early going, Gaston getting it going for Fordham. Frazier missed badly on the shot. Robinson on the run-up. Robinson enters for Adams in a two-handed jam. 10 points for Adams. His first double-digit game as a collegiate player.
There is no fast break too fast for Steven Adams. He can run with anybody.
Frazier kicks it out. A no look to the right side. A whistle and a foul is called on Pitt. They call on Patterson.
Well, the big guy, good hands, just runs the floor. Fordham does not get back defensively. When you've got a big guy that not only runs the floor but can sprint the floor, that's an added offensive weapon for Pitt.
Cameron Wright has come in for Patterson, who takes a seat on the Pitt bench. Smith had it blocked by Adams, stripped away, and the basket by Brian Smith.
Brian Smith staying with it, and Fordham showing a lot more energy here to start the second half.
Smith now in double figures with 11 for the Rams. 41-24. First 3 minutes of the second half nearly gone by. Whistle and another foul is called underneath. And Smith will be called for the personal, his first. And the third team foul so far in the second half.
Tom Pecora obviously has challenged his team to come out, play a lot more physical here starting the second half, and attack more offensively.
Woodall had an open look, decided to drive instead. He scores. He's fouled, and he'll go to the line for a possible three-point play. 10 points now for Trey Woodall.
Well, the book against the zone is that you can't necessarily get the dribble drive against it. You can when you move the basketball. Bad closeout on the ball. Trey Woodall reads it and takes it right to the rack.
Ryan Canty's second foul. Now 4 team fouls. Keep an eye on those as Fordham's piling them up early in the second half. Get to 7 and Pitt would shoot for the rest of the game. Some bumping after the play, and getting some playing time for the first time tonight is Jeffrey Short, a redshirt freshman out of the Bronx. Wearing number 5 for Fordham.
Let's see if Fordham can get something inside, either off the pass or off the dribble. They settle for the jump shot and knock it down.
Short with the three-pointer. He appeared in only 8 games last year as a freshman, was injured. But a guy who could be a good scoring guard for the Rams. In high school, he averaged almost 30 points a game. That's average.
That's filling it up.
Woodall rises for 3. Adams nearly over the back of Gaston, with Gaston the rebound and Fordham moving the basketball again. Gaston's going to drive, and before the shot, he was fouled. Foul called on Talib Zanna. It's his first. Zanna has done a good job of staying out of foul trouble, but Jamie Dixon will call him out of the game.
This is more of the Chris Gaston that I know, who's always in attack mode.
Lob up top to Gaston, guarded by J.J. Moore, who came in for Zanna. Inside Canty, fouled from behind. And Steven Adams will pick up the personal fouls, just his second.
You know, Gaston's a guy, he's averaged double-figure rebounds for 3 consecutive years. The only other A10 player to average double-figure rebounds for 4 consecutive years, the last one to do it, David West of Xavier. Ryan Perriman, also one of the great rebounders in A10 history from the University of Dayton.
Doesn't fall. Smith will pick up the foul for Fordham. Brian Smith whistled for his second personal foul. Timeout, 43-27, Pitt in front of Fordham. ESPN's coverage of college basketball is presented by Allstate. Coach, it appears as though they've let some of the animals out of the Oakland Zoo tonight. Student section here for Pitt, known as the Oakland Zoo. You got Rock, the Panther mascot, and then a couple of constituents.
You know, I met the horse before the game, and I got to tell you, he was eating some spiked cornmeal before the game, I think.
Well, that's a horse of a different color. 43-27, 15:55 remaining in the game here in the NIT season tip-off with Mark Adams, Tim Neverett. Glad you're along watching college basketball with us on ESPN. Peterson Events Center is where we are on the campus of Pitt. As Pitt will inbound the ball, and James Robinson, 6'3" freshman guard of DeMatha High School. Cameron Wright got the ball back to him. I mentioned earlier in the game that Wright played on Friday after he had learned during shoot-around, or the team actually had learned during shoot-around, that Wright's dad had passed away after a long bout with brain cancer. And he courageously played in that game Friday night, scoring 8 points off the bench. There's Robinson's basket. He's got 6. And Pitt with a 45-27 lead.
I love that kid, James Robinson. He's so under control all the time. He really understands the game.
Right with the steal. Robinson right down the middle of the floor. Needs some help as Gaston came out to play. Gaston playing up top in the zone for Fordham. Now he'll drop back just a little bit. Dante Taylor tried the baseline jumper. Right touched it last, and it'll be out of bounds to Fordham.
Okay, with Steven Adams out of the game, I'd sure like to see Fordham get some touch inside, especially the Gaston, number 33.
Jeffrey Short picked up the foul. And the foul will be called on James Robinson. So Adams on the bench right now. He's got a pair of fouls. Freshman center from Rotorua, New Zealand. Consensus preseason Big East Freshman of the Year.
An amazing story how his father passed away when he was 13. He was really out on the streets, lied to his brothers and sisters about going to school. Just a tremendous comeback story. And of course, Jamie Dixon has been one of those positive role models for him. amazing how connections help you get players. Isn't it, Jamie? One of the greatest players to ever play in the New Zealand Basketball League, and it ends up paying off with a great player like Steven Adams.
Pass ahead to Deron Johnson. He puts it down. His nickname is Pee-wee, but there was nothing small about that basket. 20-point lead for Pitt. That's their largest of the game. And Fordham wants to talk this one over. 14:08 to go in the ball game. Johnson with the hammer. Twenty-point lead for Pitt at the Peterson Event Center in the NIT season tip-off, regional round action. Let's take a look now at some news and notes around college basketball. Jim Calhoun, after 26 years and 3 national titles, was there since 1986. Retired Kevin Ollie made a successful debut over in Germany with an upset win over Michigan State. Pat Summitt retiring at Tennessee, 38 years and 8 national titles coaching the Lady Vols in Syracuse, Notre Dame, and Pitt. Moving from the Big East to the ACC next season.
Syracuse knocked off San Diego State last night to open the season. Notre Dame beat a good Evansville team led by Colt Ryan for their opening victory.
Gaston with the ball, gets it to Short. Short now on the switch off. Moore picked him up, and a foul is called. It'll be called on Moore. That's his first personal.
The Big East very good again. Louisville, Rick Pitino, Peyton Siva, Gorky Jang, change shots inside.
Moore got inside position on Gaston and took a rebound away from it. Woodall, Johnson inside the line, overshot it. And rebound to Gaston.
Gaston much more aggressive here in the second half.
Smith lays it off to Gaston, and Gaston trying to get to the basket, runs into a lot of traffic, and a whistle. And Dante Taylor is going to be called for the foul for Pittsburgh.
Now for Fordham to win games, either against a team like Pitt or in the A-10, he's got to play like this. He's got to be a whirling dervish. He's got to be physical and take the bump and finish plays. Much more aggressive here in the second half, number 33, Chris Gaston.
Gaston came into this game 11th on Fordham's all-time scoring list. Started the night with 1,447 points. And was invited to try out for the national team of Puerto Rico last summer. Got some family that has some Puerto Rican descent, so he was asked to try out. But when he was a freshman, led all NCAA freshmen in rebounding. He has built himself a very good resume at Fordham.
Yeah, double-digit rebounder every season of his career so far.
And Gaston left his feet, so he's whistled for the foul as J.J. Moore went up for the shot.
Well, how good is the A-10 this year? Butler joins the league. VCU, Shaka Smart, who's recruited extremely well at VCU. They're loaded again. They lost Bradford Burgess, but they basically have everybody else back. Rodney Clark joins Butler, one of the great sharpshooters in the country. Now he'll sharpshoot in the Atlantic 10 versus at Arkansas. He was in the SEC before he transferred.
Patterson whips it for Moore. 3-ball on the way. That's good. And J.J. Moore having a big game. That's 15 points for the junior from Brentwood, New York.
He won the dunk contest here, too.
Loose ball. Taylor going to hand him there. He'll get the return. Has to give it up to Johnson. And Johnson will go to the line instead of scoring underneath. Foul's going to be called on Jeffrey Short. Tom Pecora talking to Short right here about that foul.
A little bit sloppy right here. Taylor got a little bit ahead of himself, but you know what I like about Pitt? Two things. One is depth, so they can continue to run. And then secondly, their ability to force turnovers with their defensive pressure. I mean, they're long, they're quick. Tim, we did a game here a year ago, and I walked away unimpressed by Pitt. And then Woodall went down, and I was less impressed. This is a totally different field of this team. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, how much difference has it made not only having a healthy Woodall back, but the additions of the freshman Robinson and Adams, and especially, I think, the addition of Trey Ziegler off the bench. He hasn't been a big factor in this game, but he was big Friday night in the opener. So they've got a lot of depth. Of course, Dante Taylor, who is an All-American, the 5th All-American here at Pitt. But you get the experienced Woodall giving advice now to the freshman Adams. Woodall in double figures with 10. One of 3 Panthers with double figures. Steven Adams with 10 and Moore with 15.
You know, it's interesting to watch those two guys talk on the bench. I mean, obviously, they're not talking about their date after the game. They're talking hoops right here. This team's very locked in right now. Very impressed with the leadership of this Pitt basketball team.
Moore on the double pump missed the shot. Sometimes the first one's always the best one. And an offensive foul. A turnover, the 13th turnover for Fordham, and the ball will go back to Pitt. Well, the 3rd foul whistled on Brian Smith. And Pitt back at it, 51-29. Back in Pittsburgh, the NIT season tip-off. Regional round action continues. Pitt with a 51-29 lead, just under 12 minutes to go.
A point of emphasis this year is calling the block charge. Now let's watch the rotation. J.J. Moore, just because he takes in the chest doesn't mean that's a charge. That's a block. Now, I know it's difficult to officiate a basketball game. Nobody knows that more than I do. As a former coach, who used to yell at him all the time. Most of the time, I was wrong. But in this case, the point of emphasis is that you establish a guarding position. Yes, he did. But then who initiated contact? J.J. Moore slid right into the offensive player, took it on the chest. It looked like a charge, Tim. That was a textbook block right there.
Of course, you can see the restricted area arc that came into play last year. Notice they're chewing a lot of gum out there, Coach.
It must be baseball. Where's the chewing tobacco while we're at?
Left over from Halloween, maybe.
I guess.
Well, Robinson back with the basketball. And Patterson trying to drive against Luka Zivkovic, who's in the game in Belgrade and Serbia. He goes in, and it's 53-29.
Like Dante Taylor all over the offensive glass. Nice help defensively.
Gaston drawing a crowd, lost control, and that's taken away by Johnson.
Well, the rotation of Pitt defensively when they help. Very, very impressive for this early in November.
14 turnovers now for Fordham. Ron Johnson with a basketball.
I like the fact that the NCAA allowed the coaches to work more with their players throughout the offseason. I think it shows in the quality of play here in November, in particular defensively for Pitt here tonight.
Moore driving, lays this one up, and that's tipped in by Dante Taylor. Or is it not? Nope, offensive goaltending as basket interference is called.
The rule is that if any part of the ball is inside the cylinder, then it's offensive basket interference. One of the hardest calls to make for an official, an out official, is this call right here. Watch the ball. And think about the angle that the official has. And that ball was definitely, part of the ball was inside the cylinder. That's the right call.
Foul's going to be whistled on Duran Johnson. Watch it from a backside angle here.
Watch the ball on the rim. See if any part of the ball is inside the cylinder. Definitely is. No question. And when I say inside the cylinder, Tim, you take that rim and you run basically that ring all the way up to the ceiling. That's inside the cylinder.
Johnson will come out, and coming back into the ballgame is Trey Ziegler. So Duran Johnson out. Pitt did lose a player today in their program. John Johnson, a sophomore from Philadelphia, did not show up to shoot around and not the game, and informed Jamie Dixon that he is going to be leaving the program and seeking a transfer. So Jamie Dixon and the Panthers moving on without John Johnson, who elected to move on.
Well, we see more and more of guys transferring. Guys want to play right away, and sometimes you got to be a little bit patient. Doesn't always work out that way.
With the number of guards that were recruited, really would be a battle for playing time. There's not enough minutes to go around.
The only way to get better is improve what you got and recruit better players. And that's exactly what Jamie Dixon has done.
Adams setting that screen for Patterson, finds Moore. And Moore, baseline jumper is good. 17 points for J.J. Moore.
Boy, does he look good tonight. Banging threes, pull-up jump shots. Well, there's just nothing easy against this Pitt defense.
Zivkovic couldn't handle it, and now Robinson changing hands with the dribble. His pass knocked away by Mandel Thomas. Substitution for Pitt as Trey Woodall will come back in the game for Robinson. Woodall will start this possession with a basketball. He'll play the 2 and the 1. He gives Pitt a bunch of versatility in the backcourt. Ziegler draws a crowd. And drawing a crowd underneath is Moore. And J.J. Moore is creeping closer to a career night. He has 19 points and maybe 20 if he can convert. A number of those folks sitting there, NBA scouts, at least 20 of them here tonight.
And who are they here to see? Steven Adams in the first game. C.J. McCollum, first-team All-American from Lehigh in the second game. He is an ankle breaker.
Adams able to be seen now. It's hard to miss anyway. Saw him walking on campus today with a backpack. Did not look like a typical student at 7 feet tall.
It's higher education right there.
Higher education is right. Higher elevation. Yeah, that basket's good. Travion Leonard, who committed the foul at the other end of the floor. He's playing with 4 fouls, now with 6 points. And Fordham will ask for a timeout with 8:49 left in the game. Tom Pecora will talk it over. You're in this situation, Mark. What does Tom Pecora tell his team on the road trailing by this many?
Well, first of all, he challenged his team to come out, be more physical, more aggressive in the second half, and I think they have done that. Now what he wants to do is establish a better rhythm offensively, get to know his team a little bit better, go with some different rotations, give guys opportunities to play and show what they can do against what I think is going to be a top 25 team in the country in Pitt.
Still some work to go for Pitt, but Chris Gaston, who is the best player for Fordham, 53 career double-doubles in 84 games. That's doing some scoring, and the last 3 years was the A-10's top rebounder.
Again, the only guy to do that 4 times, David West.
And tonight, just 4 points and 6 rebounds. He had 19 points against Texas State. Also pulled down 14 rebounds.
Well, let's call it the way it is. He hasn't gotten a whole lot of help either. Brian Smith, excuse me, with 11 points tonight. Nobody else in double figures for Fordham.
Wigler flipped it to Woodall. Now Lamar Patterson. Cross court Woodall. Little runner. And Adams flying for the rebound. And he is fouled underneath. The foul will be called on Luka Zivkovic. It's his first foul. So 10 team fouls for Fordham, and Pitt in the double bonus the rest of the way.
Rarely do you say 7-footer and graceful. He is, though, isn't he? And that was a graceful play going to get that rebound. Just a tremendous upside. Still learning.
Patterson the lob, and Zana had it swatted away from behind.
Guess who picks up the loose ball with one hand? Steven Adams.
Patterson finds Zana. Zana's baseline jumper is short, gets his own rebound, and will be fouled, and Zana will be heading to the free throw line. That's the 5th one on Travion Leonard. Take a timeout from the Peterson Events Center. Pitt on top of Fordham as we get later in this game. Well, the students enjoying this one here on the Pittsburgh campus. 59-33. Yep, that's a Dante Taylor fan right there. I'm sure Dante appreciates it. This is the NIT season tip-off. This is game one of this regional bracket. Lehigh and Robert Morris tonight after this one. Michigan and IUPUI later. And in that bracket, the early game has the Vikings of Cleveland State on top of Bowling Green, 55-51.
Michigan led by Trey Burke, another All-American candidate. John Beeline with an infusion of talent. Tim Hardaway Jr., also one of the guys in the backcourt for Michigan.
Well, it should be mentioned, too, that these tournaments are so valuable to these teams because you get an exemption for playing in this tournament, meaning you can play 2 games and it counts as 1 on your schedule. It counts as a win if you get a win or a loss if you lose, right. But still, you get credit for 1 as far as the number of games you're allowed to schedule. Talib Zanna knocks down the free throw. It's just the 3rd point of the game for Zanna.
Well, it's great preparation for the regular season because now it's not just a non-conference game that doesn't really count for anything. You're in tournament play. You get eliminated, those types of things. So that makes a lot more fun for the players and the coaches.
46% from the field for Pitt, just 33% for Fordham. Points in the paint big, 28-8, and also points off turnovers. Inside, Canty had it knocked away. Woodall going to the basket. Woodall looking to go end to end. That is tipped in. Another basket for Talib Zanna. And it's a 30-point Pittsburgh advantage.
Pitt has outscored their opponents in the paint in the first 2 games, 84-22.
Long 3 hit by Zivkovic. Zivkovic played at Traders Point Christian Academy in Indiana. Pretty good 3-point shooter. He displayed that right there. Then the Serbian native.
And Fordham has stayed in that 2-3 zone virtually the entire night.
Lob inside for Adams. He just outreached Canty. And Steven Adams with 13 points.
It's a simple thing, but it's a valuable thing. He catches everything.
Short driving. And he scores. Victory Short has 5 points.
Fordham obviously not going to win this basketball game, but an opportunity to get.
And the lob to Ziegler. And the basket good. It's his first 2 points of the night.
An opportunity for Fordham to look at some different guys, but you can't play different guys if you give up backdoor lobs like that.
Foul will be called on Patterson underneath. Mark Patterson picks up the foul. That's his second. Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Patterson was the MVP of the CBI in the postseason, a tournament won by Pitt. Patterson will take a break, and now Cameron Wright will replace him. Mandel Thomas from Rochester, New York, but played for Notre Dame Prep in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, and last year won the National Prep Championship Tournament for Notre Dame.
A lot of great prep school play up in New England, and it used to be you go out and recruit a lot of junior college kids, but now prep schools have really blossomed, and you end up recruiting a lot of those guys a little bit more mature.
Well, that 1 year of postgraduate work can really make a big difference in a young man's life.
Huge difference.
Adams dumps it off to Zanna. Wright recovers.
That's 3 seconds. Adams still hasn't left the paint. He's still in there.
Woodall off the glass. That's good. Woodall with 12. A healthy Trey Woodall makes such a big difference in this lineup.
Not just from a physical standpoint, but from an attitudinal standpoint. We saw this team struggle without him 1 year ago. Now there's some different characters on this team, and different level of talent, different level of depth, I believe that. But Trey Woodall is a leader. And it's just not his physical attributes when he goes out of the game, especially with an injury like he did last year, but it's also that mental toughness, that ability to defend, the unselfish nature of his guard play.
Woodall takes a seat. Deron Johnson back in for him. A basket made by Thomas, and he'll earn another.
When you recruit St. Anthony's kids that played for Bob Hurley, you usually get a guy like that. Just a tough, gritty, smart player.
And when he played for Bob Hurley at St. Anthony's, had a #1 ranking in the United States. They were 32-0 his final season at St. Anthony.
I called one of their games that season. You know, he was not nearly as physically mature as he is now. He's a little skinny kid, but man, he was tough.
Ziegler out running the point right now. Mandel guarding him.
And Trey Ziegler, a big point guard. Put size like that on the floor, really makes a difference.
Ziegler wide open. He was attempting to get to the basket, but Canty set up a roadblock. Third foul on Ryan Canty.
Trey Ziegler, the transfer from Central Michigan, going up against Ryan Canty. Let's listen.
Certainly a moment right there.
Trey's a tough kid. Coach's son, Ernie Ziegler, former head coach at Central Michigan. Trey went to play for his dad for 2 seasons. 1,000-point scorer. All MAC as a freshman. And a great kid. Comes from a terrific family.
Tipped in by Zana. Well, both Zana and Taylor calling for the point. So both of them trying to fool the scorer at the scorer's table. Maybe both of them touched it. Oh, whistle outside. That'll be called on Johnson. Well, Jeffrey Short will go to the free throw line for Fordham. 72-42 lead for Pittsburgh. 30-point advantage. 44 left.
You know, Tim, ESPN, obviously the tip-off marathon just around the corner at midnight tonight. Gonzaga at home in Spokane, Washington, takes on Bob Huggins and the West Virginia Mountaineers. That's a heck of a matchup. Gonzaga loaded this year.
Underneath, Taylor. Canty there to make the block.
Ryan Canty is not backing down.
Smith whips it over to Short, trying to get around Ziegler. Lost control. Ron Johnson picks it up. And Pitt with possession. Just over 4 minutes to go. And Zana underneath. Foul. Basket's going to count. Talib Zana regains the 30-point lead, and he might have a 3-point play here. And Gonzaga taking on West Virginia. West Virginia's first year in the Big 12. But do you think this could be a Final Four team?
Boy, Gonzaga, there you see it. The All-West Coast Conference team, 4 out of the top 10 players from Gonzaga. Gary Bell, Sam Dower, Kevin Pangos. That is a loaded. Elias Harris. They are loaded. That's going to be a heck of a matchup tonight at midnight.
West Coast Conference got a little stronger last year with the addition of BYU. Dave Rose's team making a big impact in the West Coast Conference last year. The Pitt will inbound. Cameron Wright will take the basketball and trigger it on the near side. Lobs for Zana.
I'm impressed by Pitt. I'm sold. This team is long. They can defend. They can score from the perimeter. They obviously score in the paint. You got Trey Ziegler coming off the bench who can provide instant offense as a big guard that can play the point as well as the off guard and 3-spot. Steven Adams, who can defend and block shots and chain shots inside. Great hands. Jamie Dixon has a lot of weapons. Pittsburgh all aboard them tonight by 32.
32-point edge for Pitt. 3:38 remaining. Game number 2 of the season for both teams. Our All-State good hands play of the game tonight started with a steal.
That's pretty good hands right there. That's pretty good hands right there. Left hand just drops it right into the crossover dribble. Trey Woodall unselfishly. Lamar Patterson with the scream.
Well, he was announcing his presence with authority.
Yeah, why do guys scream?
Because they know there are microphones under the basket.
I guess so.
Well, Pitt's had 40 points in the paint tonight. And Patterson with 5 of Pittsburgh's 76.
6 assists, 4 rebounds. Good floor game for Lamar Patterson tonight.
At the line, Mandel Thomas. 6'2" freshman guard. You know, the interesting thing about this matchup, Mark, is the fact that back in 1940, on the 28th of February, the very first nationally televised college basketball game was between Pitt and Fordham at Madison Square Garden. Pitt would win that game by 20 points.
See, I was going to ask you if you knew who won, because I knew Bill Raftery knew who won, because he was there.
Probably called it. 57-37. And digging into that a little bit more, found out that they only were able to count in the city of New York at the time 400 television sets. Times have changed.
A little bit.
Short comes up short. And the rebound, Dante Taylor. I wonder what the ratings were on that one. It was all part of the World's Fair that year as an experiment. Here's Ziegler. Baseline jumper good. He's got 7 now.
A guy like Trey Ziegler can really be a luxury for you offensively. That's the area where he needs to improve defensively and moving his feet, taking away dribble penetration. He was ranked one of the top 100 players in the country by ESPN.com. Paul Biancardi and his team of experts. He actually thought he was going to UCLA until he roomed at the Kentucky Basketball Festival with Ray McCallum. And Ray McCallum decided that he was going to play for his father, Ray, at Detroit. And really, they had close discussions. They were roommates together, and Trey decided, you know what, that sounds like a good deal. I'm going to play for my dad, Ernie, at Central Michigan. So Ernie, who worked with Ben Howland, had to call Ben and explain that he wasn't going to UCLA. He's going to come play for me. They've remained friends in spite of that recruiting war.
Zana sets the screen for Johnson. Now Wright alone. Picked up quickly by Jared Fay, who's off the bench for Fordham late in the game. Canty with the steal. That's only the 5th turnover for Pitt. Certainly won the turnover battle. 17 turnovers for Fordham. Johnson a little bit long there. Mandel Thomas. Another turnover, and wide open is Dante Taylor. Slips, gives it to Judson with a 2-handed jam. 5 points for Deron Johnson.
How does Dante Taylor get out in front of so many fast breaks like that? He's been out in front several times tonight and fallen down twice.
Cameron Wright with the steal. 2-on-1. The lob to Ziegler, and he finishes. 80-47.
This Pitt defense can be smothering. Trey Ziegler with the steal. Taylor with the broken ankle. The assist.
Get the guy with the broom out there. Fix that spot on the floor.
Nice to see Cameron Wright out here. He's been through a very difficult week. His father passing away. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers and condolences go out to the entire Wright family. What a gutty performance. Cameron Wright, I'm sure your father's proud of you, son.
Cameron Wright makes 1 out of 2. Short pulls up with a long jumper. And And Wright skying for the rebound. Tipped away by Jared Fay. Fay has been a 2-year starter for Fordham, but coming off the bench late in this game.
Boy, Cameron Wright just giving everything he's got, isn't he? Love the way that kid's dialed up.
Johnson lost the handle. Wendell Thomas to Short. He'll go to the basket and score. Pretty impressive how smooth Short is as he gets to the basket. 9 points off the bench for Jeffrey Short.
I'll see another Atlantic 10 team tomorrow as Temple takes on Kent at noon on ESPN. I'm looking forward to seeing Khalif Wyatt go up against Chris Evans in Kent State. Should be a good one.
Long 3-ball made by Johnson. And Johnson with 8 off the bench. He didn't play in the opener Friday, but making the most of his time here.
Pitt picks for 6th in the Big East in the preseason.
Just an offense from Short. He's got 11th.
I think this team is better than 6th. I like them a lot.
Certainly any team picked 6th feels they're better than 6th. So I'm sure they agree with you. Right. Crossover move. The pull-up. Good.
Nice.
Shot clock is dead. Down to the final 17 seconds. Zana with the block. And Pitt can run this one out. Jamie Dixon holding up the stop sign. And Ziegler will dribble this one out. And Pitt's going to go to 2-0 with an impressive victory here tonight over Fordham. 86-51.
Pitt was impressive in the victory over Mount St. Mary's. They showed great diversity defensively with their pressure, offensively with their ability to score inside and out. Tonight, I thought they built on that diversity.
Look at the NIT season tip-off bracket updated. See Cleveland State ahead of Bowling Green. And that's late. And here, Pitt moves on to take on the winner of Lehigh and Robert Morris. That game coming up shortly here from the Peterson Event Center. Also Michigan and IUPUI still to play in the Michigan bracket. So Pitt, the first team to move on. So for Mark Adams, I'm Tim Neverett saying so long from the Peterson Event Center. Final score, Pitt 86, Fordham 51. To watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on our family of ESPN networks, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN. Panthers beating the Rams here tonight in Pittsburgh.